Mr. Christopher. I was about to leave.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got a little bit turned around back there. It's pretty rough country up here. Thanks for waiting for me, though. I'm sorry. This won't take a second.
No. Absolutely not. I don't want my voice identified on that recorder.
All right. It's your game, Mr. Ross. We'll play it by your rules.
Are you sure you weren't followed here?
I swear to you, there's nothing on my tail but dust. Now, did you bring that map? Hey, relax. We got 40,000 acres of privacy. All right, could you show me where that area is that they call by that code name, the Blue Hill?
It's right here. It's that elevation you see right up there.
Okay, Mr. Ross. How about some names?
I don't have any names.
Oh, come on. I'm a newspaper man. I told you, I'll protect the secrecy of my sources right down to the grave.
That's an ill choice of words, Mr. Christopher. My source of information has expressed a very real fear of getting killed if this isn't handled properly.
All right, but you're a member of the State Land Board. It makes perfect sense.
And that's the only reason that I'm talking to you. I believe that I was tricked into voting what I thought was in the public interest.
All right, but even so, as a member of the board, it makes perfect sense that you should have some knowledge of the names yourself. See, the last time we spoke, you said that the Land Ecological Association was backed up by about $1 million from a private source. And that's what helped them stop the Stonehurst Company from taking all this over and turning it into a big ski resort. Now, is that true?
I'm convinced now that's a fact. This other group wants it for its own purposes.
Now, it sounds to me like you've got members of your own board who are being bought and paid for. Who are they?
I don't know yet.
Mr. Ross, if I don't have names, I don't have a story. Now, is your deep throat going to come through for you or not?
I think that I can give you the names that you'll need within 24 hours. She promised.
She?
What?
You just said she.
No. You misunderstood me. Now, look, no more. Not now. Don't try to contact me. I'll be in touch.
Say, fella, you know what you just did?
What?
You just talked yourself to death.
Ben used to say, better get a new picture for the office, Maureen. People are beginning to ask if you're my daughter.
Well, is this all?
I guess. 2 boxes for 20 years. You've got to find out who did this, Mr. Jones.
I'll certainly do my best.
Believe me, I am not imposing on Betty's friendship. I'm hiring you. This was not an accident. Ben was either murdered or he... I just want you to find out.
We were told by the sheriff that someone called in who did not identify themselves and said that your husband's body was seen lying at the base of the cliff.
But who? I mean, who wouldn't identify himself?
I sent someone out to the sheriff's substation to see if they could learn anything. Deputy said there was nothing suspicious.
I know an accident apparently fell while inspecting property his commission was involved in.
You said that your husband was either murdered or, and you kind of left the or hanging there. Did that mean anything?
I might as well say it. There might have been another woman.
Maureen, no.
Please, Betty, it's been driving me crazy. But I mean, sometimes, you know, when men reach Ben's age, they become vulnerable.
Why do you say that about Ben?
I was coming from the market a couple of weeks ago, and I went to make a phone call, and Ben was on the other phone, talking to a woman and making a date to meet her.
Maureen, that could have been completely innocent.
He said it was his secretary. I know Beatrice's voice, and it wasn't her.
Sorry, am I interrupting?
Yes, but I'm getting used to it. Mr. Ross, this is Jedediah Jones.
It's J.R. How do you do?
How do you do?
The J is for Jedediah, that's pure Tennessee. The R is for Romano of the Chicago Romanos.
Yeah, see, I always eat my lasagna with a side order of grits.
Got anything new?
Well, it's a routine accident report, Barnaby. But I thought you might be interested in this.
It's Ben Ross's car?
Mm-hmm. Exactly where they found it. Question, why is the door open?
Well, he could have stepped out to look at something or meet somebody.
Right. So I asked if the key was in the ignition, and it wasn't. They found it in his pocket.
Well, he could have come back to the car, opened the door to get in. Did Ben have any appointment book that might tell us whether or not he went out there to meet somebody that day?
You know, I thought something was missing. Ben had a daily ledger, and he kept it religiously. Beatrice.
Yes.
I can't seem to find Ben's daily ledger. Have you seen it?
Why, no. He always kept it there near the telephone.
Has anyone else been in here?
Just that young reporter from the Chronicle.
Reporter.
Well, yes, Larry Christopher. He said he was doing a story on a dedicated public servant. I didn't think you mind. I'd let him look through things.
I don't like it, Elliot. Larry's making some moves that could embarrass the Chronicle if this whole thing turns sour. First reporting a death anonymously, then swiping the guy's appointment book.
Oh, come on, Max. This is the new journalism.
Don't give me that. I was hijacking grand jury records before you were born.
All right, fellas. Let's let the ends justify the means. If that end is the truth.
Well, the truth is Ben Ross was murdered.
Yes, but you saw no one before or after.
I saw Ben Ross. This guy was so careful he would shave with gloves on. Step off of a cliff in broad daylight? Come on. Come on, Max, you gave me the go-ahead on this. Why the red flag all of a sudden?
Well, if the names are as big as Ross intimated, the lawsuits will be just as big. When you get to be managing editor, that crosses your mind. Especially when your only source just went over a cliff.
Well, I think he helped me with that before he died. He said she promised him names. I think his source was a woman.
Well, that's pretty thin, Larry.
Yeah, well, thick or thin, I'm gonna go after it. It's all I got. I'm gonna check out every she that Ben Ross talked to or even tipped his hat to for the last 2 months. I'm gonna find her. And if the Chronicle can't pay for my mileage, I'll do it myself.
Like hell you will.
Now, you hired this boy, Max. And if there's no stopping him, I think the Chronicle should afford a little more gas.
Okay. Meanwhile, this goes back. If our new journalist here is right about a murder, I don't want us to be holding material evidence.
Thank you.
Keep an eye on him, Maxim, and keep me posted.
Right.
Oh, Max.
Oh, Barnaby.
Glad I caught you.
What can I do for you? You want to poke through the morgue?
No, I'm looking for one of your reporters. Larry Christopher?
No sooner said. Larry, someone to see you. Drop by later, will you, Barnaby? Gotta grab some lunch and make a delivery.
Sure.
Good to see you.
Larry Christopher?
Yeah, if you're looking for the payment on my rig back there, it's in the mail.
Well, I'm sure the loan company will be happy to hear that. There is something you could do for me. My name is Barnaby Jones. I'm a private investigator.
Yeah, what can I do for you?
If you took a ledger from Ben Ross's office this morning, you could give it to me.
Wait a minute. That's a little fast, Mr. Jones.
Mrs. Ross and I were packing up Ben's things. The ledger was missing. The secretary said you were the only one in there ahead of us. Did you take it?
Do you mind if I ask you exactly what is your interest in this ledger?
I think we'll get along a lot better if only one of us asks the question. Did you take it?
Well, yes, as a matter of fact, I did. I picked it up by accident with my camera and my tape recorder. It's already on the way back to the office. Would you tell Mrs. Ross not to worry, please? I hope there's no harm done. Listen, I gotta run. Nice talking to you.
Well, Elliot, when you called, it sounded like old times. That kiss was not like old times.
Now, please, Ruth, let's not start in on that again.
Sure. What's less interesting, darling? Yesterday's newspaper or yesterday's love affair?
Must you turn every visit into a confrontation, Ruth?
Well, I see you so seldom. Maybe I'm hungry for some kind of a reaction.
Times change, Ruth.
Don't they, though?
And I don't think I'm treating you too badly. Not every struggling interior decorator lives quite as well as you do.
Oh. I'm suitably appreciative, Elliot, believe me. But I do think you've gotten your money's worth out of the house. And me.
Now, don't be crass, darling. It's beneath you.
My, that's almost flattery. Thank you.
Did you hear about Ben Ross?
I still take your newspaper for old time's sake.
You were a friend of his, weren't you?
Ben Ross was a friend of my brother's, Elliot. They went to school together back east.
Ah. But I remember seeing him here at a couple of parties.
They were your parties, darling, if you'll remember.
Someone said they saw you with Ben Ross a few days before he had his accident.
I might have bumped into him somewhere. I really don't recall. What's all this interest in Ben Ross, anyway?
Oh, there's been talk that he might have committed suicide. I just wonder if he indicated anything to you.
No. No, I mean, I don't even recall seeing him, not for some time, actually.
Ah. Well, it's no matter. I have got to go. Take care. It's she, I'm sure of it.
That's too bad.
This place is a natural target for burglars, Carl. Make it tonight. I don't want her alive anymore and able to talk to anyone else.
Catch Larry Christopher?
I caught him, but he got away.
Well, you know where to find me, eh?
Well, Max, you are a creature of habit. You've been having lunch in this place every day for 20 years.
Almost. What's your interest in Christopher?
I'm interested in a ledger that he took from Ben Ross's desk today.
No? You know Ben Ross?
No, but my daughter-in-law, Betty, is a friend of Mrs. Ross, and I'm looking into her husband's death.
Terrible accident. Well, you never know.
Max, don't tell me that they're putting bologna in the Caesar salad now.
What are you angling at, Barnaby?
Your young Christopher told the secretary that he was writing a feature story on Ben Ross, devoted public servant.
So?
Come on, Max. You never handled a day-old story in your life. If you'd had a feature story on Ben Ross in the works, you'd have printed it on page 1, ready or not, the day after he died.
All right, Barnaby. I'll level with you. There could be a big story in the making. I can't tell you anymore.
I have reason to believe that Ross was meeting someone out there where he fell to his death. Now, if your reporter, Christopher, accidentally picked up that ledger from Ross's desk, he could also have been that someone.
Here's the book. I was going to return it after lunch.
I'll save you the trip.
Fair enough. And I'll save you some legwork. I promise to keep it to yourself until we know it all.
Max, have you ever known me to unintentionally hurt anybody?
Ben Ross learned from someone. That whole Land Ecological Association was a phony front. Someone wants that land bad. For some other reason.
Who?
Unfortunately, Ross died before his source could tell him.
Was there a woman involved?
Why do you ask?
No reason, but there are some loose ends. Did you notice that somebody tore 3 pages out of this ledger? I wonder who that could have been.
I wouldn't know.
Well, I just hope that your boy Larry isn't covering up more than he's uncovering.
Actually, the Stonehurst Company was asking for a long-term lease on only 9,000 of the 40,000 acres. Flat fee, plus a graduated percentage of the revenues when the place became a ski resort.
What about the Land Ecological Association?
That's where it gets a little fuzzy. They had a corporate charter, but it's now listed as inactive.
They were going great guns about a year ago.
Gangbusters. I was talking to one of the guys I met at the ad agency here, and he said that he figures the association must have spent more than $1 million on advertising and promotion to, quote, save the wilderness for the people.
Was that a bargain?
Well, I talked to one of the girls in charge of circulating petitions and collecting donations, and she said it was a joke.
Jokes have punchlines. What is it?
Well, Barnaby, the punchline is that the people only donated some $30,000 to $40,000 to the association, which means that close to $1 million came from some angel.
You called?
Yes, did Beatrice locate those phone numbers that were on the 3 pages that were missing?
Every one, she says. They have to keep a record for expense auditing. I cross-checked them all.
Suppose you two figure that you can run this office by yourselves, huh?
Ah, what's a team without a coach, right?
Right.
All right, let's check the signals here.
Well, Ben Ross called a lot of miscellaneous numbers, which fortunately Beatrice recognized. And then I marked off 2 of the numbers down here that he called on all 3 days. One is his home, she said.
What's this one?
Well, I would have dialed it, but I didn't want to say the wrong thing, Coach.
Surrounded by relatives here. Daughter-in-law, cousin. What do they call that?
Nepotism.
Good afternoon, Lawson Plaza.
Yes, I was just calling to check this number. Is this 5556765?
This is the switchboard, sir. I intercepted because apparently the workmen at that number have gone for the day.
Well, I was asked to call a party at this number in regard to TV repair.
I never would have thought of that.
Wallace Blood Jones is a natural bias.
Oh, I'm sorry, but the Benningtons haven't moved in their new condominium yet. It's still being decorated. You know, if you call back tomorrow, perhaps one of the workmen there can give you some more information.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll do that. How do you like that?
What?
Ben Ross has been making regular calls to an empty apartment.
I tell you, I don't know any Ben Ross.
Miss Sorrell, would you take a look at these pages, please? I tore these out of Ben Ross's desk ledger. See that number right there? That's the number of the Lawson Plaza. Ben Ross called that number every afternoon at the same time, and he also came to see you there.
That's a lie.
Well, if that's a lie, you better get it straight with the manager of that place, because he's ready to swear that he saw you with Ben Ross several times in the condominium that you were decorating for the Benningtons.
Look, if you're not out of here in 5 seconds, I'm calling the police.
Miss Sorrell, look. I don't have anything against you at all. I'm just trying to get my facts straight for a story. Now, if you call the police, I'll be forced to tell them that perhaps you can explain why Ben Ross was murdered.
Murdered?
Immediate concern for somebody you never even heard of.
Get out.
I'll have to come back. You know that, don't you? If it's not me, it'll be somebody else. There are a lot of questions that need answering here. About the Land Ecological Association and the Stonehurst Company. What does Blue Hill stand for?
Look, I don't understand a word that you're saying.
I know for a fact that Ben Ross got all his information from a woman. You are that woman, aren't you?
Look, if the Chronicle prints a word of the...
I never told you I was from the Chronicle. Only person who knew that was Ben Ross.
I want you out of here now.
It isn't customary to show the units at this hour, but if you'd like to see a model...
Well, I don't think that'll be necessary. My name is Barnaby Jones. I'm a private investigator.
Oh, no, just a moment.
Take it easy. We're not keyholders.
What?
What my associate means is that we'd like to make an inquiry, a discreet inquiry, as to whether you've seen this man entering or leaving one of your vacant units.
Yes. He came to visit the decorator in the Bennington condominium 3 or 4 times, but I assure you, there is nothing lascivious going on the Lawson Plaza during the day.
I wouldn't bet on it.
You've seen that picture before?
As a matter of fact, not more than 2 hours ago, a young man was here inquiring. I told him the same thing. Miss Sorrell saw this man a few times, professionally, I assure you.
Miss Sorrell, that's the interior decorator?
Ruth Sorrell. Talented, I presume, though her tastes are a bit flamboyant for my liking.
Well, thank you very much. You've been a big help.
This is a nice joint. What do these places usually go for?
Go for?
Well, let's go. Somebody's 2 hours ahead of us.
Hello? Is there anybody there? Is there...
Shots of the bedroom where the jewels were taken.
You figure with robbery, Lieutenant?
And dust that whole rail. Just a snap conclusion, Barnaby. The French doors in the living room were forced open. The jewel box was rifled. She surprised him. He killed her. Robbery, homicide. You can look around, but don't touch. I tell Stan I want those jewel cases shot in place.
I want to know who was 2 hours ahead of us, Barnaby.
So this is where he came in.
Oh, man, look at this. You could open this with a butter knife.
Don't leave any prints. I don't have to bail you out.
Yeah, they're not going to find any fingerprints here. These second-story guys sleep with their gloves on.
Pretty safe bet that this was not a burglary.
What do you mean? I thought Biddle said the jewel cases were empty.
He also said that the police were alerted by a neighbor who had heard a scream. When the neighbor tried to call here, he got a busy signal.
Well, they got 2 phones off the hook. Maybe he chased her from one room to another.
No, he would never have come in here if Ruth Sorrell had been in the room. You've got to let your mind make pictures for you, J.R.
Okay, it was empty. So he sneaked upstairs. She tried to phone. He surprised her. She ran downstairs, grabbed the phone, and then he carried her upstairs and threw her off the balcony now.
Let's say that he came in this room, took his phone off the hook, knowing that she was upstairs. That's not a jewelry thief. They know the odds.
Meaning they'd risk 1 to 10 years, but will back off if it looks like they're tangling a possible murder.
Someday, J.R., you're going to be a big help to me.
Now that I can picture. That looks like it. They were torn from one of those missing pages, right?
Yeah. When we get back to the office, we'll go to the lab and take a look.
What do you want? A little hospitality wouldn't hurt. Hey, what the hell's going on here? First, watch your language. Second, why don't you tell us what's going on here?
Are you awake enough to tell us what you were doing at Ruth Sorrell's house last night?
I don't know any Ruth Sorrell.
Wrong.
You tore 3 pages out of Ben Ross's desk ledger.
So, tore 3 pages.
Petty larceny. Sue me.
We filled in the phone numbers on the missing pages and traced you to Lawson Plaza.
Which led us to Ruth Sorrell's house, where we found scraps of those pages on her carpet. You're about as hard to follow as a bull through tulips, you know that?
So you have a little something more to worry about than petty larceny.
Try grand theft and murder.
Murder? What are you talking about?
For a newspaper man, you're not exactly newsy. Ruth Sorrell was murdered last night.
And the police would like to know who was with her in that house. Have you got a card we can give them?
Hey, now, wait a minute.
Huh? I think he's waking up.
Max Holt has already told me that you talked to Ben Ross before he died.
Now there's a lady in the morgue. You know, talking to you is murder.
So what do you want?
I want to know everything that you found out about those 40,000 acres that somebody seems very anxious to get their hands on.
Well, this guy Ben Ross said that he had an authoritative source who told him that that whole conservation hoopla to keep that ski resort out of those mountains was nothing but a fraud.
Was the source Ruth Sorrell?
I don't know. If she's dead, I may never know. She threw me out of her house last night. And she knew I was a reporter. I didn't tell her that. Hey, who are you calling there?
Police?
Oh, come on. You gotta give me another couple of days.
Not alone, my friend. You're accident prone.
I'm gonna get police permission to take another look at Ruth Sorrell's house. Oh, Lieutenant Biddle, please.
Clean as a whistle. Cops are calling it burglary homicide. They'll hassle the fences for a few days looking for the jewelry, and when it doesn't show up, they'll put the whole thing on a back burner.
You're sure it's all here?
Hey, no way. I wouldn't hold back the Hope Diamond if it could pin me to a murder one. I dropped a couple baubles to make it look like a hurry-up job. The rest is all there.
That's a very professional attitude, Carl. I like that.
This ain't exactly amateur night, Mr. Webster. Eliminating people anonymously requires a certain amount of finesse.
Yes. I still think there's one left we must eliminate. Young Larry Christopher is going to keep right on digging. I think we should get rid of him.
That's getting pretty close to home, Mr. Webster. Third killing's going to bring the percentages way down.
But now we're talking about the real art of finesse, Carl. You see, I have no intention of killing young Christopher, but I think we should bury him.
This lady must have been quite a cook. You should see these menus for all the parties she gave.
Larry, these names mean anything to you? A. Pellegrini, Hoffman, Winans?
No, I told you I was 24 hours short of getting any names from Ben Ross.
Yeah, he was probably invited to the parties but didn't know who everybody was. Here's his name.
Man, they ate classy at this Blue Hill banquet thing. Look at this. Blue Point oysters on the half shell. I guess she thought that harmonized with Blue Hill.
Let me see that. Blue Hill. That was the code name of that big mountain in the middle of that whole tract of land.
What do you know?
All right. Leave everything right where it is.
You have a short memory, Lieutenant. We called for permission, remember?
Cuff him. You're under arrest, Christopher.
What for? On what charge?
Suspicion of murder and extortion. Take him out and read him his rights.
Oh, come on. That's ridiculous. Hey, Jones. Is this your idea of a joke?
It's not a joke, Lieutenant.
If you knew anything about this Barnaby, I could lift your license.
We still don't know anything about it.
Your friend there had a neat little sideline to his newspaper career.
Extortion and murder are hardly a sideline.
You're probably right. Snooping around as a newspaper man, he discovered that the late Ruth Sorrell here was having a little affair with one respected public servant, Ben Ross, also lately deceased. He'd been blackmailing him. When they decided to stop paying off and turn him in, he killed them both.
That steely-eyed look, Lieutenant, means you got plenty of evidence.
The Sorrell jewels were just found in Christopher's apartment, along with an envelope containing $10,000 in cash. Now, that's a little much for a cub reporter to have in his piggy bank, wouldn't you say?
Depends on who pointed you at the piggy bank.
Solid gold citizen, Barnaby. None other than Christopher's own boss, Mr. Elliot Webster himself.
Mr. Jones, I'm Elliot Webster.
Hello. Hi, Max.
Barnaby, I take it you've heard the bad news?
Yeah, trouble's fast.
I understand you were investigating the death of Ben Ross, Mr. Jones. This must come as a second shock to his widow. It's a terrible thing. It's terrible.
You told her yet, Barnaby?
No, I thought I'd come over here and sort of pick the bird shot out of the fowl before I delivered it.
Well, the way it looks, your client is just going to have to bite the bullet.
It's incredible. In this day and age, a man paying blackmail to hide a passing indiscretion. Ben Ross, I take it, was of the old school.
Yeah, I guess he was. You know, it's surprising. I understand, Mr. Webster, that it was you who passed along the anonymous phone tip to the police.
Yes? The Chronicle is in the business of truth, Mr. Jones. No matter who gets hurt. I admit I did a lot of soul searching. I didn't want to believe it at first. One of our own people pretending to be working on a big story, duping us all, while he ran his own dirty little extortion racket.
Any idea who the anonymous caller may have been?
No, just some lady who said that she was a friend of that woman who was killed, Ruth Sorrell. Unfortunately, her information turned out to be correct.
It's a strange world, Barnaby.
Yeah, it is. I just don't understand why Larry Christopher would have torn 3 pages out of a book to get in touch with a lady that he was already blackmailing.
Well, the way it looks, he was trying to get rid of any evidence that would tie Ben Ross and Ruth Sorrell together.
Yeah, that's the way it looks. Wonder if that's the way it is. Well, thank you very much.
Nah, that doesn't add up, Barnaby. Larry Christopher was looking for Ruth Sorrell, just like we were.
So let's go on with your arithmetic lesson.
Ruth Sorrell lived in a $500,000 mansion, entertained like Cleopatra, owned a bushel full of jewelry, which Ben Ross certainly didn't buy for her. That guy was strictly a $2 tie man.
Barnaby, I think you can afford to give J.R. straight A in math. He's absolutely right about her house, though.
Who owns it?
Well, the county records show that the house at that address is owned by a Kenray Corporation. Does that ring any bells with you?
No. J.R., you have just been appointed official bell ringer. Find out everything you can about Kenray Corporation.
Corporate officers, holding subsidiaries, if any, like that?
Like that. That young man that worked for the brokerage office that studied law with you, he could be a big help.
Right.
And keep your eyes open for any reference to something called Blue Hill.
I would have knocked, but I always wanted to catch geniuses at work. Hi, Betty.
Well, Lieutenant, we knew you wouldn't let us down.
This is not voluntary. You had this young Chicago hoodlum of yours call me, making wild threats.
Oh? Jedediah?
I only said that if he didn't want to be so embarrassed, he'd have to take his sick leave now until his pension came up.
I've got it all written down, kid, word for word. Here's a picture of the Sorrell jewels.
Oh, will you look at that?
And the only one who's embarrassed so far is Larry Christopher. We found them in his dresser. Now, would you mind telling me what this is all about?
Lieutenant, I'm not sure that I know myself yet.
Oh, come on, Barnaby.
But if my hunch is right, the key to this whole thing is not who stole those jewels.
What leads you to believe that any of these items were purchased here, Mr. Jones?
Well, I tried a couple of other shops, and then I say to myself, some of these pieces are the best. They could only have come from here.
These two and these three here, they're our work.
By golly, you just can't conceal real artistry. You mind telling me who bought them?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not our policy to reveal the names of our clientele.
Yeah, I can appreciate that, but since there was a murder involved, I try to keep the police from barging in and demanding the same information.
Good heavens.
Yeah, it does kind of rattle the chandeliers when that happens.
In strictest confidence, of course.
Of course.
I think I remember something about that.
Something wrong?
Oh, indeed not. The purchase orders were all correct. These items weren't purchased by an individual. They were purchased by a company.
The Kenray Corporation?
How did you know?
Well, that's a company that seems to travel first class. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Barnaby!
What's the matter with your car? What are you doing?
California way to double park. What can I tell you? I learned fast.
You learn anything else fast?
Well, I have been going through corporate structures and annual reports until my eyes burn, and let me tell you, the Kenray Corporation is big, believe me.
What are they into?
Everything from textiles to mining, you name it. I found at least 20 companies they own so far.
Mining?
Yeah, here it is. The Sun Future Mining Company, copper.
Copper? Blue Hill.
I wonder if one of the directors is a guy named Pellegrini. Sound familiar?
Yeah, he was one of the guests at Our Lady's dinner, you know, with the blue points, blue plates, and...
Oh, yeah, the blue plate. Well, it looks like they got a lot more on their plate now, too. My buddy wasn't supposed to tell me this, something about SEC regulations, but there's a rumor that there's going to be a very big copper strike, and the stock is just going crazy.
Yeah, that would support a hefty contribution to the Land Ecological Association.
Wait. Well, I tell you the best. The Kenray Corporation is also into paper mills and publishing.
Chronicle.
Got it, Coach.
I want you to go right down and fill in Lieutenant Biddle.
Come on, Barnaby, me?
Yes, you, Jedediah. You could use a few brownie points. I want to talk to a man about business of truth.
Grimsley, if you think we can get the new presses on the same floor space, you get me all the cost figures. Mr. Webster? Well, Jones, I didn't know you were this interested in the newspaper business.
Yes, I'm interested in all kinds of business. Newspaper, mining, matter of fact, anything that Ken Ray Corporation is involved with. I'd like you to come down to the police with me and explain it all to Lieutenant Biddle.
What kind of absurd rambling is this, Jones? I'm a very busy man.
Yes, I imagine you are very busy, keeping the truth out of all those pages down there.
Now, that is rubbish, and I don't have to listen to it.
I think you had better listen, Mr. Webster. Ben Ross was murdered because he was getting too close to Blue Hill. That's the mountain of copper that Ken Ray Corporation wants. Ruth Sorrell was murdered in a house that belongs to Ken Ray Corporation. You just had one of your reporters arrested for stealing jewelry that was bought by Ken Ray Corporation, so I think you better come with me.
You meddling fool, you!
So, in order to get Larry out of the way for good, Webster plants 10 grand and the jewelry at his house, blows a whistle on him. You know how police and whistles are.
I suppose you had that all figured out, huh? Barnaby, I want you to keep this guy on a leash.
Ah, the Jedediah part, it's just a puppy dog. It's the Romano part that keeps barking all the time.
I understand that Elliot's driver, Carl Hickman, has been singing his head off.
Yes, he's been trying very hard to make the prison glee club instead of death row. He was ordered to kill Ben Ross and then Ruth Sorrell, Webster's old girlfriend.
When the love affair turned sour, so did she. Let that be a lesson to you, gentlemen. I suppose you have to keep this for evidence, huh, John? Oh, I was just asking.
Well, Max, I promised you a lot of big names on this story. Do we print it?
That's what they make ink for, kid. When the heads roll, the presses roll. Just spell the names right. Jones is spelled Jones. Come on.
Which reminds me, Lieutenant, I got this ticket for a little California double parking, you see, and I was thinking that because I did you a big favor, you know, the least...
Barnaby?
I never saw this kid before in my life.
Oh, come on, this is serious. Look, what do you say, Lieutenant? I'm just a poor kid from Chicago. You know, I'm a starving
Barnaby Jones' office. May I help you? Well, yes, he is. Just a second. Someone wants to talk to Big Cousin Barnaby. Would that be you?
There's only one of my relatives that calls me Big Cousin. Hello. Is this my little cousin, Monroe from Chicago?
You betcha. I finally made it to Los Angeles. Just now got off the plane.
Well, I'll be doggone. Why didn't you let me know you were coming?
Well, the trip came kind of sudden-like. I got a lead on the man that shot my partner 6 years ago, Barnaby.
I thought the Chicago police had given up on that case.
Yeah, they did. I'm out here on my own time. Look, why don't I get situated in a motel? I'll give you a call, and maybe we can get together later.
Motel? You're not going to any motel. You're going to be my house guest here as long as you want to stay. Now, tell me what airline you came in on, and I'll be right over to pick you up.
I'm at Transcon. I'll meet you out in front of the terminal.
I'll be right over. Little cousin. Haven't seen him in 20 years. Oh, Betty, you better proofread this.
All right.
I'll be back in a little while.
Ritter, what are you doing here?
I couldn't wait to talk to you. I gotta speak to you now. Come on, let's get out of here. There's too many people here. Let's get out of this crowd, huh? Come on, what are you being so hard-nosed for all of a sudden? We're supposed to be on the same team, aren't we?
Turn around.
Look, I thought you and me had a deal, huh? I'm supposed to help you find the guy who killed your partner, and you're supposed to get me square with the parole board in Illinois.
I just don't like things getting switched around, that's all. We're supposed to meet later today at a place that I picked, remember? Now, come and show up here.
That's what I've been trying to tell you. Look, I've been following Cahill ever since I phoned Jen. Well, I think he spotted me.
You're a real loser, aren't you? What'd you do, get him running again?
No. I think he's following me. Look, there was this car parked outside of my place last night, and then again this morning. I think I'm being tailed.
His ID says he's Monroe Jones, Sergeant, Chicago PD. You say he's a relative?
My cousin. I talked to him on the phone not 20 minutes ago.
Sorry, Barnaby. Were you very close?
Saw each other once in a blue moon, but he was kin. Monroe was a street cop in Chicago for over 20 years. How does a thing like this happen to him?
Well, he couldn't carry his gun aboard the plane, so he packed it in his suitcase. It's still there. Looks like he was trying to get to it when he was shot.
Any witnesses?
Nobody even heard the shot. Killer must have used a silencer. You got any idea what this is about?
No, only what he told me on the phone. He was out here still looking for somebody who had killed his partner 6 years ago. Looks like he found him. Well, I better get on with it.
Get on with what?
I've got to tell his son. I'd rather take a whipping than make this call, Lieutenant. like to make a long-distance call, please.
Where's Barnaby? Is he in?
Yes, he is, but hey, wait a minute. Barnaby, I'm sorry. I couldn't stop him.
It's all right, Betty. It's been a long time, but unless I miss my guess, this is Jedediah. Cousin Monroe's boy from Chicago. Good afternoon, Jedediah. Kind of surprising to see you here.
What did you think? I'd be back home sitting on my hands while the guy who murdered my father runs around loose?
No. I can see you wouldn't be doing that.
Man hasn't had a vacation in over 10 years, ever since my mom died. All of a sudden, he gets a call, and the guy who blew up his partner, he goes off and gets himself killed. On his own time.
Are you all right?
I'll be terrific. Just great. As soon as a guy who did this gets nailed. So what are you doing about this, Cousin Barnaby? It's been 7 hours since my father was murdered. 7 hours. And from what I can see, you're just sitting around your office not doing a damn thing about it.
Oh, now, hold on. Listen, I realize you're upset, but that's not fair, and it's not true either.
It's all right, Betty. I can speak for myself. Matter of fact, I was just going over this file.
What is this?
It's a Chicago police file on that shooting 6 years ago in which your father's partner was killed.
How'd you get a hold of this?
Twisted a few arms and bent a few rules.
Dad had a blow-up of this on his desk at the station and at home. Getting Cahill was really an obsession with him.
Maybe you can fill in the gaps for me between 6 years ago and now.
Look, I will tell you anything you want to know, and what I can't tell you, I will find out for you. Listen, I'm really sorry about the way I just came charging in here just now.
That's all right. We're all kind of wound up about this thing. Maybe it would calm us down a little if we had a bite to eat. Unless it's too early for you, Jedediah.
No, I guess not. Still on Chicago time.
Well, let's go.
Yeah, it's Richie. Richie, it's Tony. Oh, listen, man, I got problems. You gotta do me a favor.
What are you talking about, favor? I'm your brother, remember? You name it. If I got it, it's yours.
Remember that place we met at Saturday night? I want you to meet me there right away.
Okay, sure. I'm on my way. Is that the favor?
I'll tell you when I see you. And Richie.
Yeah.
Make sure nobody's following you, huh?
Just a hamburger for me. You know, when I first heard about that, I felt like somebody kicked me in the gut. Still does.
Yeah. Well, Jedediah, you just gotta give it time.
Yeah, sure.
So, you graduated from law school?
Yeah, I'm preparing for the bar right now. Look, can we get on with this? How much does this report have on Walter Cahill?
Well, according to this, the last anyone saw of Cahill, he was running from an underground garage of a Chicago Loop hotel after having shot and killed a policeman.
He got away with $500,000 worth of diamonds that he took from a jewelry salesman. You know, even after fencing those gems, he could have wound up with enough of a stake to disappear somewhere and start a new life for himself.
You think he did that?
That's what I would have done if I burned a cop. Dad. You know, he never really forgave himself for not sticking with his partner that night.
But it says in here that he went back to the car and radioed for backup units because he knew Cahill was still in the hotel.
I know, but he still blamed himself. That's why he kept on looking for Cahill. It's like a crusade with him. I used to think it was bananas on the subject, but you better believe it's my crusade now.
What was the lead that brought Monroe out here?
Some small-time hood named Tony Ritter. He jumped bail back in Chicago. Dad got a call from him last night. Ritter knew Cahill from the old days. Anyway, Ritter said he spotted Cahill in L.A. and he would finger him if Dad would square things with the parole authorities.
What do you know about Tony Ritter?
What do I have to know? All I have to do is find him and lead us to Cahill. It's simple.
Yeah, we could probably find Tony Ritter all right, but after that, Jedediah, it may not be all that simple.
Hey, Tony.
Oh,
hey, man. What's going on with you? Some spooky phone call.
Spooky ain't the half of it, man. There's some guy that is trying to blow me away.
Kill you?
He took 2 shots at me this morning. Look, I gotta get out of town. You got any bread?
Right now, I'm pretty lean, man, but I'm drawing my pay Thursday for the big plumbing job I've been doing.
I could be dead by Thursday. Can't you ask your boss for an advance, some money, something?
I can try, Tony. I don't know if it's gonna work out. The guy doesn't know me that well. I worked for him for 2 weeks. I'll do it. I mean, I'll try to get the money from him. Look, if there's anything else that I can do, just tell me. I'll do it.
Come on.
Barnaby, what are we gonna do? Wait around here all morning?
Well, I hope not. That depends.
On what?
Well, when my informant comes by.
You mean that's what we're doing here? We're waiting for a pigeon? Oh, come on, Barnaby. Why don't we go out and look for him instead of just sitting around here?
I wouldn't know where to start looking this time of day. See, my informant is in and out of a lot of bars along here.
In and out of bars? Sounds like a lush.
Well, as far as I know, seldom takes a drink.
Either that or...
Hi there, Mr. Jones.
Morning, Sue Ellen. Oh, this is my cousin's son, Jedediah, from Chicago.
Pleased to meet you, Jedediah.
Just call me JR. Almost everyone does.
Sure, JR it is. Something I can help you with, Mr. Jones?
We're looking for a man, Sue Ellen.
Well, that's what I do best, they tell me. Any particular man?
You know a fellow named Tony Ritter, just out here from Chicago recently?
Small world, yeah. But I haven't seen him around lately. Seen his brother, though.
Tony had a brother?
Yeah, Richie, but I didn't know he was out here, too.
Any idea where Tony lives, Sue Ellen, or Richie?
Oh, gosh, honey, I wouldn't know that.
What about jobs? They must work.
Well, Richie works, I guess. Yeah, you know, he must be a working man, because sometimes he comes around wearing overalls.
Anything special about the overalls? Name sewed on, anything like that?
No. But yeah, there's this picture on the back, and it's one of those things that you turn on the handle and the water comes out.
Faucet?
Yeah, that's it. And underneath it says plumbing. Yeah, plumbing. Does that help any?
Yeah, helps a lot, thanks.
Don't mention it. Nice to meet you. Remember, any friend of Mr. Jones is a friend. Know what I mean?
Barnaby Jones' office. May I help you?
Hello, Betty. I got a chore for you. Call the local plumbers union and see if you can find out where a Richie Ritter is working.
Tom? Would you like to have breakfast out here?
Oh, yeah, sure. Only all I want is juice and coffee. I've got to get into the office a little early today.
Again, honey, you work too hard. That's not the way it's supposed to be when you marry the boss's daughter. You're supposed to go in late and sit around all day and flirt with secretaries.
No kidding. You mean I've been doing it wrong all these past 5 years?
Absolutely. But it's not too late to change. So, I'll get you juice and coffee.
Okay. Hello?
Hello, am I talking to Thomas Brenner?
Who is this?
Is this the Thomas Brenner, also known as Walter Cahill? The guy who's been taking pot shots at me since yesterday morning?
I think you've got a wrong number.
Don't you hang up on me. You want me to call the cops?
What do you want?
That's better. You know, with the way you've been doing your best to try to waste me, I suppose I really ought to turn you in. It goes against the grain, you know what I mean?
I'm listening.
Well, if you're tired of chasing me around, maybe you'd be willing to come up with a little money. You know, then I'd fade out of town for good. You know, I mean, leave L.A. and get out.
I see. Well, we might be able to work out something along those lines. How much did you have in mind?
10 grand and I'm gone. You throw in another 5. Not only will I get out of the state, I'll get out of the country. Maybe Mexico.
That sounds more attractive to me. I'd very much like that kind of deal.
Okay, you got 2 hours to put the cash together. I'm gonna phone you at your office and set up a meet. And any hang-ups along the way, any at all, Cahill, and I'm gonna phone the cops and tell them all about the secret life of Walter Cahill. It's kind of funny, ain't it? 2 hours, Cahill.
We'll run up to the next one.
Hey, Ritter. Phone call for you. Sounds like the same guy that's been trying to reach you for about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Richie, it's Tony. Listen, I turned the whole thing around. You know this guy that's been gunning after me? Well, I phoned him, and he's gonna pay me off. Now, what do you say you quit that job and you and me head for Mexico today as soon as I collect?
Hey, slow down. Tony, you're not going to meet that guy.
Listen, wait a minute. I didn't tell you the best part. The payday is 15 big ones, kid. 15 cow.
I don't like it, Tony. I mean, how do you know he's not just getting you alone someplace so he can...
We're not gonna be alone. I'm meeting him at a big shopping center out in Bay Ridge. There are gonna be people all over the place. He wouldn't try anything there.
I don't know. I got a bad feeling about it, Tony. Tony? Don't go, huh?
I gotta go, kid. I can't keep our money waiting. Relax. It'll be a piece of cake. See ya.
Tony, wait. Richie!
saved yourself a lot of running, Mr. Ritter. Just wanted to talk to you. My name is Barnaby Jones. I'm a private investigator. Had a hound dog like that back in Tennessee. He was a fool for chasing rabbits. Used to chase them in a great big circle. Just stood in one place, your meat would come right to you. Hold it, Jedediah. That's...
You don't think this creep is gonna volunteer information, do you?
Mr. Ritter, I'm sorry about Jedediah. He's upset because his father was murdered yesterday. Unless I miss my guess, the man who did the killing is the man that's looking for your brother. Is that the reason you took off when you saw us coming?
I already been shot at once with Tony yesterday.
Did you see who did the shooting? Where's your brother now? The only reason we want to know is we'd like to get to him before Cahill does, because if we don't, well, your brother's probably told you the kind of a man Cahill is.
Well, that's what's so crazy about it. Tony going to meet Cahill.
He's gonna what?
Some kind of deal going down. Tony's getting money from Cahill to keep quiet and to get out of town.
Where? Where's the meeting?
Bay Ridge Plaza, big shopping center.
What kind of a car did your brother drive?
An old beat-up two-door, white.
That's far enough. How does it feel to be on the other end of the rope, you creep?
Oh, relax. It's all just like you ordered. 15,000 in small bills. Makes a nice bundle, doesn't it?
Open it. Put it on the hood.
Right here?
That's right. Now turn around and disappear, sucker.
Have fun in Mexico, but don't drink the water.
There he is.
Looks like Tony Ritter ain't as do with Cahill.
Yeah. And it blew up in his face.
I know he wasn't much. He's in and out of trouble all his life. He was my brother, you know? My big brother.
Did Tony spend the night here?
After we got shot at, yeah. He was here all last night and this morning after I went to work. He never told me what was going on. He was trying to protect me, I guess.
He probably set up the Cahill payoff by phone from here, since the phone company keeps a record of toll calls.
Except I haven't got a phone. So we'd have to have used the payphone out in the hall.
Well, there goes out lead. No record of calls on a payphone, right?
Well, it wouldn't do any harm to check, in case he made any long-distance calls. They might remember.
Well, Barnaby, you got any friends at the phone company?
Hold it.
Uh-huh. Whoever wrote this was pretty interested in that last number there.
You recognize the handwriting?
Yeah, it's Tony's.
Well, thank you, Richie. You've been a big help.
Rich, listen, man, I'm really sorry about your brother. Really. I know how you feel.
Well, maybe we better see what we got here. Oh, hello. Who'd you say this was? Thank you. Thank you very much. Martinson Building Supply Company.
Does that mean anything?
The Martinson Company has a big office building out in the Topanga area near where Tony was killed. They do a big business in explosives for construction job.
Well, I can't be sure. Underneath all that hair, it could be any one of 3 or 4 of the men working here. And no one's named Cahill.
Well, which 3 or 4? It's very important, please.
Well, it looks quite a bit like our Mr. Thompson. But then it could just as easily be Mr. Talbot or Mr. Brenner. I'm sorry I can't be more definite.
That's perfectly all right. We're much obliged. You've been a big help. Maybe your personnel department could narrow it down.
Oh, they're right through that door, second door on the left.
Thank you. Thank you.
What were those two after?
They're doing some kind of investigation. They showed me an old police photo and asked if it looked like anyone who works in the office.
Did it?
Well, like I said, with a lot of imagination, it could have been Jim Thompson or Mr. Talbot, or even you, Mr. Brenner.
Oh, even me. Maybe my lurid past is catching up with me.
Oh, yes, I'm sure.
Carol, this is Mr. Brenner. Look, I'm afraid you're going to have to cancel my appointments today. Something came up unexpectedly. No, not tomorrow. I may be out of town for several days. Yeah, thank you.
No, I told you, Tom came here from Miami. He's not from the Chicago area at all. Really, I wish you'd discuss this with him.
Yes, we tried to do that at his office, but his secretary said that he was out of town.
Well, I don't understand that at all.
Do you mind looking at this picture?
I suppose so, if it will convince you that Tom is not the man you're looking for. This man is a criminal.
That's right. Could the man in that photo be your husband?
Mrs. Brenner, what do you think? Is that Thomas Brenner?
No, I've never seen him before.
Are you sure of that?
Yes, I'm sure. And I resent all of this very much. Will you please leave? Both of you, please.
Yes, of course. Sorry to have troubled you, ma'am.
Hello?
It's me, Laws.
Tom?
What's the matter? You sound upset.
There were two men here just now. They showed me a police photograph. It was you in the photograph, wasn't it?
The two men, what did you tell them?
I told them they must have you confused with someone else. I lied.
Good. Lois, meet me at the Spindrift, at the marina. Just meet me. I'll explain everything.
At the Spindrift. All right, Tom.
You're right, of course. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was me in the police photo. Or anyway, the man I used to be.
Then you do have a record, and you're wanted now.
Yeah. I've got a past. And one I'm not proud of, believe me. But it has nothing to do with the way I am now. I've changed since then, Lois. Thanks to you, I'm a different man now.
I want to believe you.
I know this must be such a shock for you.
I lived with you for 5 years. I thought I knew you better than I know myself.
I love you, Lois. That hasn't changed. If you never found out about my past, it wouldn't have made any difference, would it?
No, I guess it wouldn't.
Lois, what we were talking about before, a different kind of life away from all the pressures. Well, I want that now for both of us. If you still want me.
Whatever you did before, I love you now.
Lois, this business of my past, if it should be catching up with me now, well, Santa Barbara isn't far enough. We might have to go farther, a lot farther, and not look back.
You mean leave my family, all our friends?
It's possible that it might come to that. Could you do it?
I don't know. If we have to.
No. Forget about it. There's another way. I'll handle this so we won't have to worry about that anymore.
Now, those 3 names that you got from the receptionist at Martinson's Building Supply. The 2 first, Thompson and Talbot, check out all the way down the line. They are who they say they are, and they came from where they say they did.
That leaves Thomas Brenner.
The owner's son-in-law. The story on him is he came from the Miami area about 5 years ago, used the money that he got from a sale of a demolition business and bought into Martinson Supply.
Baloney. He used the money from the jewel heist for that.
It's very possible. Because according to that nice Southern gentleman down at the Dade County Hall of Records, there's nothing to show that Thomas Brenner ever owned or sold such a business in Miami. I think Thomas Brenner's a phony.
Brenner is Walter Cahill, all right? There cannot be any more doubt about that.
Seems to fit all right, especially when you delve into Cahill's record. Find out that he was once convicted for safe blowing. That ties in with the manner in which Tony Ritter was killed.
All we have to do is find it. Betty.
No answer at the Brenner household.
Well, it hardly seems likely that he'd be sitting around the phone waiting to hear from us. I think I'll go back to the Martinson office and see if Mr. Martinson knows where to locate his son-in-law. Want to come along, Jedediah?
For what? Martinson's just gonna cover for him like Cahill's wife did.
Yeah, but it's worth a try. Sure you don't want to come along?
Nah, you go ahead.
I'll see you later, Jedediah.
Hello?
Mrs. Brenner?
Mrs. Brenner, this is J.R. Jones. Listen, it's very important that I talk with your husband. Is he at home right now?
Well, no, he isn't. He said he was driving up to Santa Barbara this morning. He had some property to look at.
I see. Where exactly in Santa Barbara, do you know?
In the Montecito area, I think, on Hillview Drive.
Okay, thank you. That's all I need to know.
Is this where he is? What are you doing? JR, that's Barnaby's.
Don't worry, I'll take good care of it.
JR, you don't have a license to carry a gun.
I got a father on a slab in the morgue. It's all the license I need.
JR, please. No, you are going to stop and pick up Barnaby, aren't you?
Betty, it has nothing to do with Barnaby anymore, just Cahill and me.
JR, please don't go by yourself.
Oh, Mr. Jones, I've been looking for you.
Yes?
Your office phoned and said it was urgent that you call in right away. You can use this phone if you like.
Oh, thank you very much.
Barnaby Jones' office?
Oh, Betty, you were looking for me?
Yes, it's JR. He's on his way to Santa Barbara, hot on Cahill's trail. Barnaby, he took your spare gun. There was nothing I could do about it.
Where in Santa Barbara?
Montecito area. Hillview Drive.
So turn around and talk. Where's the other man? I thought the two of you would come together.
Let's have a little talk with your father-in-law. Got a feeling you're in for some major life changes, Brenner. Or Cahill. If you live, that is.
Pretty mouthy for somebody at the wrong end of a gun. Lean up against that wall. Go on, move. And spread out.
Cahill!
I hope for your sake that boy's all right. You've done enough to hurt the Jones family already. You all right, JR?
Yeah, I'm okay. I guess.
I don't know, Barnaby. What do you think? Think he's found his appetite yet?
You probably have time for a little dessert before your plane leaves. What do you say, Jedediah?
Sure do. Anyway, there's always another plane, right? By the way, I want to thank you for saving my neck.
Yeah, you did cut it a little fine for comfort. I'm glad I got there in time.
Well, you were right about taking it nice and slow and easy. Guess I kind of went in there a little too eager. Almost got myself killed.
Well, who would have known that Cahill qualified for a black belt in karate? I may have had trouble with him myself.
Well, I certainly found out. Now, I'll tell you something. Really beginning to like it out here. I don't know, I think I might want to stick around a while.
That's a great idea. What about it, Barnaby? We can always use some extra help, can't we?
Don't you have to go back to Illinois and study for the bar?
Well, I can always start studying for the California bar. Guess it can't be any tougher for a young lawyer out here than it is back home. Now, if you could just pay me enough money to live on,
Well, now, how can you say no? I mean, after all, he is kin.
Haven't said no yet. Gotta think about this. You know, kin or no kin, you would have to earn every dollar of your wages. And occasionally take some advice from somebody older and more experienced. Because, you do tend to be muley now and then.
well, that trait kind of runs in the family.
What'd you say?
Nothing, you got yourself a deal.
To the three of us?
Prologue, a long-distance echo. The summer sun hung low and heavy over the asphalt of Los Angeles, casting long, lazy shadows across the wide concrete avenues that fed into the heart of the city. Inside the quiet, tidy offices of the Jones Agency, the afternoon heat was kept at bay by the slow, rhythmic hum of an overhead fan and the steady, comforting presence of familiar routine. Barnaby Jones sat behind his desk, a man whose quiet demeanor and sharp blue eyes had seen the best and worst of human nature over several decades. He was a man built on patience, a private investigator who approached the dark tangled webs of human malice not with theatrical flourish, but with the steady, unhurried precision of a seasoned craftsman. Across the room, Betty Wilson was busily organizing a stack of newly typed investigative reports, her movements efficient and practiced. The silence was broken by the sharp, metallic ring of the telephone. Betty reached for the receiver with a polite, practiced smile. Barnaby Jones' office. May I help you? She listened for a fraction of a second, her expression softening into warmth as she looked over toward the older man. Well, yes, he is. Just a second. She held out the receiver, a soft chuckle escaping her lips. Someone wants to talk to Big Cousin Barnaby. Would that be you? Barnaby looked up from his file, a warm, genuine smile creasing the corners of his eyes as he took the phone. There's only one of my relatives that calls me Big Cousin, he said, his smooth, grounded voice carrying a hint of rich Southern heritage. He pressed the receiver to his ear. Hello, is this my little cousin Monroe from Chicago? You betcha, came the lively, crackling voice over the long-distance line. I finally made it to Los Angeles. Just now got off the plane. Well, I'll be doggone. Barnaby said, leaning back in his leather chair, genuinely surprised and delighted. Why didn't you let me know you were coming? Well, the trip came kind of sudden-like, Monroe explained, his voice dipping slightly, carrying the distinct, rugged cadence of a veteran Midwestern police officer. I got a lead on the man that shot my partner 6 years ago, Barnaby. Barnaby's relaxed posture tightened just a bit, the investigator in him sharpening instantly. I thought the Chicago police had given up on that case. Yeah, they did, Monroe replied without bitterness, only the tired resolve of a man who carried his duties in his bones. I'm out here on my own time. Look, why don't I get situated in a motel? I'll give you a call. Maybe we can get together later. Motel? Barnaby scoffed gently, waving his hand in the air as if Monroe could see him through the wire. You're not going to any motel. You're going to be my house guest here, as long as you want to stay. Now, tell me what airline you came in on, and I'll be right over to pick you up. I'm a Transcan, Monroe said. I'll meet you out in front of the terminal. I'll be right over, Barnaby said warmly. Little cousin. Haven't seen him in 20 years. Barnaby set the phone down, a brief flood of distant memories washing over him. Family reunions, long-forgotten summers, and two young men who had both chosen, in their own ways, to walk the thin line between order and chaos. He turned to Betty, picking up a folder from his desk. Betty, you better proofread this, he said, handing her the papers. All right, I'll be back in a little while. He grabbed his hat and jacket, stepping out into the bright California light, unaware that the ghost Monroe was chasing had already set a deadly sequence of events into motion. Chapter 1. The Shadow at the Terminal. The international terminal at the airport was a bustling hive of motion, filled with the roar of jet engines, the chatter of arriving travelers, and the squeal of taxi tires against warm pavement. Among the crowd, Sergeant Monroe Jones stood near a baggage claim terminal, his sharp eyes scanning the sea of unfamiliar faces. He was a solid, weathered man, built like an anvil, wearing the quiet authority of 20 years on the Chicago police force. Suddenly, a figure cut through the crowd toward him, a nervous, jittery man with darting eyes and a wrinkled jacket. It was Tony Ritter. Ritter, Monroe exclaimed in low, startled tones as the smaller man grabbed his arm. What are you doing here? I gotta speak to you now, Ritter stammered, his knuckles white as he tugged at Monroe's sleeve. Come on, let's get out of here. Monroe didn't budge, eyeing the informant with deep suspicion. There's too many of them. What are you being so hard-nosed for all of a sudden? We're supposed to be on the same team, aren't we? Turn around, Ritter hissed, nervously pulling Monroe toward a quieter side corridor near the parking structures. Look, I thought you and me had a deal, huh? I'm supposed to help you find the guy who killed your partner, and you're supposed to get me squared with that parole board in Illinois. I just don't like things getting switched around, that's all, Monroe said sternly, stepping back to look the man in the eye. We're supposed to meet later today. We're supposed to meet at a place that I picked, remember? Now, how come you show up here? That's what I've been trying to tell you. Ritter blurted out, sweat glistening on his forehead. Look, I've been following Cahill ever since I phoned you. Well, I think he's spotted me. Monroe sighed in deep frustration, shaking his head. You're a real loser, aren't you? What did you do? Get him running again? No, Ritter insisted defensively. I think he's following me. Look, there was this car parked outside of my place last night, and then again this morning. I think I'm being tailed. Before Monroe could answer, Ritter panicked at the sound of a nearby car horn, spun on his heel, and vanished back into the surging crowd of travelers, leaving Monroe standing alone in the shadow of the concrete garage structure. Monroe shook his head, pulling his coat tighter around his shoulders. He reached down toward his heavy leather suitcase to adjust his grip, deciding to head toward the curb where Barnaby was supposed to pick him up. He never saw the shadow lurking behind the massive concrete pillar. He never heard the subtle, whispered click of a suppressed weapon. A single, suppressed pop cut through the ambient roar of the airport traffic. Monroe gasped, his hands reaching instinctively toward his coat, searching for a weapon he had been forced to pack away in his luggage. The world tilted beneath his feet. He collapsed heavily against the cold wall of the terminal, his long journey ending in a quiet, sudden shadow. Chapter 2. Bloodkin. Lieutenant Joe O'Malley stood near the yellow police tape in the lower parking section of the terminal, watching the forensic team finalize their measurements. When he saw Barnaby Jones walking slowly down the concourse, his face fell. He walked over to meet the old investigator before Barnaby could get too close to the covered form on the ground. His identification says he's Monroe Jones, Sergeant, Chicago Police Department, O'Malley said softly, his tone laced with heavy respect. You say he's a relative? Barnaby stood very still, gazing past the officer toward the quiet shape under the white sheet. The warmth that had filled his heart just an hour ago had turned into a cold, heavy stone in his chest. My cousin, Barnaby said quietly, his voice low and solemn. I talked to him on the phone not 20 minutes ago. O'Malley winced slightly. I'm sorry, Barnaby. Were you very close? Saw each other once in a blue moon, Barnaby replied, his eyes fixed on the distant horizon of the tarmac. But he was kin. Monroe was a street cop in Chicago for over 20 years. How did a thing like this happen to him? He couldn't carry his gun aboard the plane, so he packed it in a suitcase, O'Malley explained, gesturing toward the open bag sitting near the evidence technicians. It's still there. Looks like he was trying to get to it when he was shot. Any witnesses? Nobody even heard the shot. O'Malley shook his head grimly. Killer must have used a silencer. You got any idea what this is about? Barnaby took a slow, deep breath, his mind assembling the fragments of their brief phone call. No, only what he told me on the phone. He was out here still looking for somebody who had killed his partner 6 years ago. Looks like he found him. Barnaby paused, looking down at his pocket watch, then back at the police lieutenant. Well, I better get on with it. O'Malley looked at him, puzzled. Get on with what? I've got to tell his son, Barnaby said, a profound sorrow touching his steady eyes. I'd rather take a whipping than make this call, Lieutenant. Chapter 3. A storm in the office. The afternoon sun was pouring through the high windows of Barnaby's office when the front door swung open with sudden, aggressive force. Betty stood up quickly behind her desk. Where's Warner? Is he in? A young man demanded, rushing past her with burning intensity. Yes, he is, but I... Betty tried to intercept him. Hey, wait a minute. Pardon me.
I'm sorry.
I couldn't stop him, Betty said as she followed the young man into Barnaby's private office. Barnaby sat at his desk, looking up calmly at the tall, sharp-jawed young man who stood in the doorway, breathing heavily, his eyes blazing with grief and anger. It's all right, Betty, Barnaby said gently, rising from his chair. It's been a long time, but unless I miss my guess, this is Jedediah, Cousin Monroe's boy from Chicago. Good afternoon, Jedediah. Jedediah stood tall, his fists clenched at his sides. Yeah, kind of surprising to see you here. What? Did you think I'd be back home sitting on my hands while a guy who murdered my father runs around loose? No, Barnaby answered softly, his voice devoid of judgment. I can see you wouldn't be doing that. Man hasn't had a vacation in over 10 years, ever since my mom died, Jedediah said, his voice cracking slightly under the strain of raw heartbreak. All of a sudden, he gets a call, and a guy who blew up his partner goes off and gets himself killed. On his own time. Jedediah paused, turning his head away for a second to swallow back the rising tide of grief. Barnaby looked at him with profound empathy. Are you all right? I'll be terrific, just great, as soon as the guy who did this gets nailed. Jedediah snapped back, pacing the length of the room like a caged panther. So, what are you doing about this, Cousin Barnaby? It's been 7 hours since my father was murdered. 7 hours, and from what I can see, you're just sitting around your office, not doing a damn thing about it. Betty stepped forward defensively. Oh, now, hold on. Listen, I realize you're upset, but that's not fair, and it's not true either. Barnaby raised a hand gently to soothe her. It's all right, Betty. I can speak for myself. He turned back to Jedediah, tapping a thick blue folder spread out across his desk. Matter of fact, I was just going over this file. Jedediah stepped closer, looking down at the paperwork. What is this? It's a Chicago police file on that shooting 6 years ago in which your father's partner was killed, Barnaby said quietly. Jedediah looked up, surprised. How'd you get a hold of this? Twisted a few arms and a few rules, Barnaby said with a small, knowing smile. The tension in Jedediah's shoulders relaxed just an inch. Dad had a blow-up of this on his desk at the station and at home. Catching Cahill was really an obsession with him. Maybe you can fill in the gaps for me between 6 years ago and now. Jedediah exhaled a long, shaky breath, wiping a hand across his forehead. Look, I will tell you anything you want to know, and what I can't tell you, I will find out for you. Listen, I'm really sorry about the way I just came charging in here just now. That's all right, Barnaby said, coming around the desk to place a comforting hand on the young man's shoulder. We're all kind of wound up about this thing. Maybe it would calm us down a little if we had a bite to eat. Unless it's too early for you, Jedediah. Jedediah gave a small, faint nod. Well, I guess not. Still on Chicago time. Well, let's go, Barnaby said warmly. Chapter 4, Shadow Ties. In a cramped, dimly lit public phone booth in an alley near downtown, Tony Ritter gripped the receiver with white knuckles, sweating profusely despite the cool afternoon breeze. He dialed frantically, listening to the rhythmic tones until a voice answered on the other end. Yeah, it's Richie, the voice said over the static. Richie. Richie, it's Tony. Tony stammered out, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Oh, listen, man, I got problems, Richie replied from his end. You gotta do me a favor, Tony pleaded, ignoring his brother's complaints. What are you talking about, favor? Richie snapped back, though his tone softened slightly. I'm your brother, remember? You name it. If I got it, it's yours. Remember that place we met at Saturday night? Tony whispered, leaning close to the glass window of the booth. I want you to meet me there right away. Okay, sure. I'm on my way, Richie agreed instantly. Is that the favor? I'll tell you when I see you, Tony said, his voice trembling with genuine terror. And Richie. Yeah. Make sure nobody's following you, huh? Chapter 5, Unraveling the Thread. A short while later, Barnaby and Jedediah sat in a quiet booth at a diner near the edge of the city. 2 plates sat between them, though neither man had eaten much. Jedediah poked at his food with a fork, staring blankly at the tabletop. Just a hamburger for me, he muttered softly. You know, when I first heard about Dad, I felt like somebody kicked me in the gut. Still does. Yeah, Barnaby said gently, his tone rich with understanding. Well, Jedediah, you just gotta give it time. Yeah, sure, Jedediah replied, taking a small sip of his water. So, you know I graduated from law school? Yeah, I heard. Barnaby smiled faintly. Preparing for the bar right now, aren't you? Jedediah nodded impatiently, his mind instantly racing back to the murder. Look, can we get on with this? How much does this report have on Walter Cahill? Barnaby reached for the copy of the official file he had brought along, sliding it across the table. Well, according to this, the last anyone saw of Cahill, he was running from an underground garage of a Chicago Loop hotel after having shot and killed a policeman. He got away with $500,000 worth of diamonds that he took from a jewelry salesman. Jedediah frowned, studying the grainy old mugshot of Walter Cahill. You know, even after fencing those gems, he could have wound up with enough of a stake to disappear somewhere and start a new life for himself. You think he did that? That's what I would have done if I'd burned a cop, Barnaby noted thoughtfully. Dad. Jedediah whispered, his eyes lingering on the paper. You know, he never really forgave himself for not sticking with his partner that night. But it says in here that he went back to the car and radioed for backup units because he knew Cahill was still in the hotel, Barnaby pointed out gently. I know, Jedediah said, shaking his head. But he still blamed himself. That's why he kept on looking for Cahill. It's like a crusade with him. I used to think he was bananas on the subject, but you better believe it's my crusade now. Barnaby looked closely at the young man, recognizing the same stubborn fire that had driven Monroe for 2 decades. What was it that brought Monroe out here? Some small-time hood named Tony Ritter, Jedediah explained. He jumped bail back in Chicago. Dad got a call from him last night. Ritter knew Cahill from the old days. Anyway, Ritter said he spotted Cahill in Los Angeles, and he would finger him if Dad would square things with the parole authorities. Barnaby stroked his chin carefully. What do you know about Tony Ritter? What do I have to know? Jedediah challenged, his enthusiasm outstripping his caution. All I have to do is find him. He'll lead us to Cahill. It's simple. Barnaby offered a calm, measured smile. Yeah, we could probably find Tony Ritter all right, but after that, Jedediah, it may not be all that simple. Chapter 6. Desperate Measures. In a littered alley behind a rundown diner, Tony Ritter stood waiting nervously beside a dumpster, jumping at every passing shadow. When a familiar figure turned the corner, Tony let out a massive sigh of relief. Hey, Tony, Richie said, rushing up to his older brother. Hey, man, what's going on with you? Richie asked, taking in Tony's disheveled hair and trembling hands. Some spooky phone call. Spooky ain't the half of it, man, Tony stammered out, clutching Richie's arm. There's some guy that is trying to blow me away. Richie stared at him in disbelief. Kill you. He took 2 shots at me this morning. Tony shouted in a harsh whisper. Look, I gotta get out of town. You got any bread? Richie pulled his pockets inside out, showing nothing but a few loose coins. Right now, I'm pretty lean, man, but I'm drawing my pay Thursday for the big plumbing job I've been doing. I could be dead by Thursday. Tony yelled frantically. Can't you ask your boss for an advance, some money, something? I can try, Tony, Richie said dubiously, scratching his neck. I don't know if it's gonna work out. The guy doesn't know me that well. I worked for him for 2 weeks. I'll do it, Richie added quickly, seeing the sheer horror in his brother's eyes. I mean, I'll try to get the money from him. Look, if there's anything else that I can do, just tell me. I'll do it. Chapter 7. Following the Clues. Meanwhile, Barnaby and Jedediah were strolling slowly down a busy commercial avenue lined with dimly lit taverns and pool halls. That depends, Barnaby was saying calmly as they walked. Jedediah looked at his elder cousin with exasperation. On what? Well, when my informant comes by, Barnaby replied smoothly. Jedediah stopped on the sidewalk, throwing his hands in the air. You mean that's what we're doing here? We're waiting for a pigeon? Oh, come on, Barnaby. Why don't we go out and look for him instead of just sitting around here? I wouldn't know where to start looking this time of day, Barnaby explained patiently, stepping toward the entrance of a quiet neighborhood bar. See, my informant is in and out of a lot of bars along here. In and out of bars. Jedediah scoffed. Sounds like a lush. Well, as far as I know, seldom takes a day off, Barnaby chuckled softly, pushing open the heavy wooden door. I'd like a drink. Either that or... Inside, the bar was cool and quiet. Behind the counter stood a sharp-witted, cheerful woman wiping down glasses. She looked up and beamed as Barnaby walked in. Morning, Sue Ellen. Barnaby greeted warmly. Well, hello there, Mr. Jones, she smiled. Oh, this is my cousin's son, Jedediah, from Chicago, Barnaby introduced. Pleased to meet you, Jedediah, Sue Ellen said with a warm glance. Jedediah adjusted his jacket collar, trying to sound mature. Just call me JR. Almost everyone does. Sure, JR it is. She laughed lightly, then turned back to the older investigator. Something I can help you with, Mr. Jones? We're looking for a man, Sue Ellen, Barnaby said directly. Well, that's what I do best, they tell me, she teased gently. Any particular man? You know a fellow named Tony Ritter, just out here from Chicago recently? Sue Ellen paused, her eyes shifting thoughtfully. Small world, yeah, but I haven't seen him around lately. Seen his brother, though. Barnaby raised an eyebrow. Tony had a brother? Yeah, Richie, but I didn't know he was out here, too. Any idea where Tony lives, Sue Ellen or Richie? Oh, gosh, honey, I wouldn't know that. She shook her head regretfully. What about jobs? They must work, Barnaby pressed gently. Well, Richie works, I guess, Sue Ellen said, leaning against the bar as she remembered. Yeah, you know, he must be a working man because sometimes he comes around wearing overalls. Barnaby's sharp eyes glinted with interest. Anything special about the overalls? Names sewed on, anything like that? No, Sue Ellen replied, thinking hard. But, yeah, there's this picture on the back, and it's one of those things that you turn on the handle and the water comes out. Faucet, Barnaby asked. Yeah, that's it, Sue Ellen exclaimed, snapping her fingers. And underneath it says plumbing. Yeah, plumbing. Does that help any? Barnaby smiled warmly at her. Yeah, helps a lot, thanks. Don't mention it, Sue Ellen smiled, turning to give JR a friendly wink. Nice to meet you. Remember, any friend of Mr. Jones is a friend. Know what I mean? A few minutes later, Barnaby stood at a street corner payphone, dialing his office. Back at the agency, Betty picked up on the first ring. Barnaby Jones' office. May I help you? Hello, Betty. Barnaby's clear voice came through the line. I got a chore for you. Call the local plumbers union and see if you can find out where Richie Ritter is working. Chapter 8. The Mask of Respectability. In an elegant, sunlit breakfast nook overlooking a pristine backyard garden in an affluent suburban neighborhood, Thomas Brenner sat at a glass table, reviewing a stack of construction blueprints. He was a well-dressed, handsome man in his early 40s, immaculate in his presentation, radiating the quiet confidence of a successful executive. His wife, Carol, walked in carrying a coffee pot, smiling warmly at him. Tom, she called softly, would you like to have breakfast out here? Oh, yes, sure, Brenner replied smoothly, looking up with a charming smile. Only all I want is juice and coffee. I've got to get into the office a little early today. Carol shook her head in affectionate exasperation. Again? Honey, you work too hard. That's not the way it's supposed to be when you marry the boss daughter. You're supposed to go in late and sit around all day and flirt with secretaries. Brenner chuckled, reaching out to squeeze her hand fondly. No kidding. You mean I've been doing it wrong all these past 5 years? Absolutely, Carol laughed. But it's not too late to change. So, I'll get you juice and coffee. Okay, Brenner said as she stepped toward the kitchen. The moment she disappeared around the corner, the telephone on the wall chimed loudly. Brenner reached out and lifted the receiver. Hello. Hello. A raspy, hostile voice spoke over the receiver. Am I talking to Thomas Brenner? Brenner's posture stiffened instantly. Who is this? Is this the Thomas Brenner, also known as Walter Cahill? The voice sneered. The guy who's been taking pot shots at me since yesterday morning? Brenner's face went deadly pale, his charm instantly evaporating into icy malice. He lowered his voice to a dangerous whisper. I think you've got a wrong number. Don't you hang up on me. Tony Ritter yelled over the line. You want me to call the cops? What do you want? Brenner demanded harshly. That's better. Tony laughed nervously. You know, with the way you've been doing your best to try to waste me, I suppose I really ought to turn you in. It goes against the grain, you know what I mean? Brenner leaned his forehead against his hand, his eyes cold and calculating. I'm listening. Well, if you're tired of chasing me around, maybe you'd be willing to come up with a little money. Tony proposed greedily. You know, then I'd fade out of town for good. You know, I mean leave Los Angeles and get out. Brenner's eyes narrowed as he plotted his next move. I see. Well, we might be able to work out something along those lines. How much did you have in mind? 10 grand and I'm gone, Tony stated. You throw in another 5. Not only will I get out of the state, I'll get out of the country. Maybe Mexico. A slow, chilling smile touched Brenner's lips. That sounds more attractive to me. I very much like that kind of deal. Okay, you got 2 hours to put the cash together, Tony said rapidly. I'm gonna phone you at your office and set up a meet. And any hang-ups along the way. Any at all, Cahill. And I'm gonna phone the cops and tell them all about the secret life of Walter Cahill. It's kind of funny, ain't it? 2 hours, Cahill. The line clicked dead. Brenner slowly set the phone back on its hook, his mind spinning with lethal precision. To the next one, he whispered to himself under his breath. Chapter 9. A Trapped Brother. At a noisy construction site, dusty workers were moving heavy pipes and machinery. Richie Ritter, dressed in blue denim overalls with a leaking faucet logo on the back, was wiping sweat from his forehead when a foreman called out to him. "Hey, Ritter. Phone call for you," the foreman shouted over the din of a jackhammer. "Sounds like the same guy that's been trying to reach you for about an hour and a half." Richie ran over to the site office wall phone. "Yeah. Richie. Richie, it's Tony." Tony's voice came squeaking through the speaker. "Listen, I turned the whole thing around. You know this guy that's been gunning after me? Well, I phoned him, and he's gonna pay me off. Now, what do you say you quit that job and you and me head for Mexico today, as soon as I collect?" Richie's heart sank with dread. Hey, slow down. Tony, you're not gonna meet that guy." "Listen, wait a minute. I didn't tell you the best part." Tony gloated excitedly. "The payday is 15 big ones, kid." 15. Richie repeated in horror. "How?" "I don't like it, Tony," Richie pleaded desperately into the mouthpiece. "I mean, how do you know he's not just getting you a loan someplace so he can—" "We're not gonna pay a loan," Tony interrupted recklessly. "I'm meeting him at a big shopping center out in Bay Ridge. There are gonna be people all over the place. He wouldn't try anything there." "I don't know," Richie cried, tears of frustration welling in his eyes. "I got a bad feeling about it, Tony." Tony, don't go, huh?" "I gotta go, kid," Tony said stubbornly. "I can't keep our money waiting. Relax. It'll be a piece of cake. See ya." "Tony, wait." Richie screamed into the receiver, but the line went dead. "Tony." Richie slammed the phone down, grabbed his coat, and bolted out of the construction trailer into the street. As he sprinted down the sidewalk, two figures stepped smoothly out from behind a parked van, blocking his path. Richie tried to dodge around them, but Barnaby Jones stepped firmly into his way, while JR moved up to cut off his escape. "You could have saved yourself a lot of running, Mr. Ritter," Barnaby said in his calm, grounded voice. "Just wanted to talk to you. My name is Barnaby Jones. I'm a private investigator." Barnaby offered a small, disarming smile as Richie stood panting against a brick wall. Had a hound dog like that back in Tennessee. He was a fool for chasing rabbits. Used to chase them in a great big circle. If you stood in one place, your meat would come right to you. JR lunged forward aggressively, grabbing Richie by his collar. Hold it, Jedediah," Barnaby commanded sharply, pulling JR back. "You don't think this creep is gonna volunteer information, do you?" JR spat out angrily. "Mr. Ritter, I'm sorry about Jedediah," Barnaby said with quiet authority, keeping a firm grip on his young cousin's shoulder. "He's upset because his father was murdered yesterday." Richie's eyes widened with fear. "Murdered? Tony, unless I missed my guess, the man who did the killing is the man that's looking for your brother," Barnaby explained soberly. "Is that the reason you took off when you saw us coming?" "I would have been shot at once with Tony yesterday," Richie admitted softly, trembling. "Did you see who did the shooting?" Barnaby asked. "Where's your brother now?" "The only reason we want to know is we'd like to get to him before Cahill does," Barnaby continued gently. "Because if we don't, well, your brother's probably told you the kind of a man Cahill is. That's what's so crazy about it." Richie burst out, burying his face in his hands. "Tony going to meet Cahill?" JR's head snapped up. "He's gonna what?" "Some kind of deal going down," Richie gasped. "Tony's getting money from Cahill to keep quiet and to get out of town." "Where?" Barnaby asked with intense focus. "Where's the meeting?" "Bay Ridge Plaza," Richie sobbed. "Big shopping center." "What kind of car does your brother drive?" Barnaby fired off cleanly. "An old, beat-up two-door, white," Richie stammered. Barnaby turned immediately toward his vehicle. "Come on, JR." Chapter 10. Blood at the Plaza. The sun was high over the bustling asphalt expanse of the Bay Ridge Plaza shopping center. Shoppers strolled between store entrances, oblivious to the high-stakes drama unfolding near the edge of the parking lot. Beside a rusted white two-door sedan, Tony Ritter stood waiting nervously, his hands buried deep in his jacket pockets. A sharp, expensive sports car pulled up nearby. Thomas Brenner stepped out, carrying a small leather satchel. His face was a stone-cold mask. "That's far enough," Brenner commanded softly, pulling a heavy handgun equipped with a sleek silencer from beneath his coat. Tony gasped, stumbling backward against the hood of his car. How does it feel to be on the other end of the rope? You creep. Brenner let out a cold, chilling laugh, unzipping the satchel with one hand while keeping the weapon leveled at Tony's chest.
Oh, relax.
It's all just like you ordered. $15,000 in small bills. Makes a nice bundle, doesn't it? Brenner tossed the satchel onto the warm metal hood of Tony's car. Open it. Put it on the hood. Right here. Tony stammered, his fingers shaking as he touched the leather bag. That's right. Brenner sneered quietly. And turn around. And disappear. Sucker. Have fun in Mexico. But don't drink the water. Tony reached frantically for the zipper, turning his back for a fraction of a second to inspect the cash. Pop, pop. The suppressed shots were completely swallowed by the sound of a passing delivery truck. Tony slumped forward over the hood of his car, his body sliding lifelessly down onto the asphalt beside the scattered wads of paper money. Brenner smoothly reclaimed his satchel, stepped into his car, and sped away just as Barnaby's sedan turned into the parking lot entrance. Barnaby slammed on the brakes as they spotted the white car. JR leaped out before the car had even come to a complete stop, running toward the slumped figure on the pavement. There he is. Barnaby walked over slowly, inspecting the scene with a heavy heart. Well, it looks like Tony Ritter had his deal with Cahill. JR stared down at the fallen man, his teeth clenched in helpless fury.
Yeah.
And it blew up in his face. Chapter 11. Tracing the Phantom. Later that evening, Barnaby and JR stood inside the cramped, shadowy apartment where Tony and Richie had been staying. Richie sat on the edge of a sagging mattress, his head in his hands, weeping quietly. I know he wasn't much, Richie choked out between sobs. He was in and out of trouble all his life. But he was my brother, you know, my big brother. Barnaby stood near the window, gazing out at the alley with deep sympathy. Did Tony spend the night here after we got shot? Yeah, Richie nodded, wiping his eyes. He was here all last night, and this morning after I went to work. He never told me what was going on. He was trying to protect me, I guess. Barnaby walked over to a small side table beside the door, looking closely at the wall near an empty space, where a phone jack sat disconnected. He probably set up the Cahill payoff by phone from here, since the phone company keeps a record of toll calls. Except I haven't got a phone, Richie pointed out quietly. So, he'd have to have used the payphone out in the hall, Barnaby observed. JR sighed in disappointment. Well, there goes that lead. No record of calls on a payphone, right? Well, it wouldn't do any harm to check, Barnaby said thoughtfully, examining the wooden wall paneling near the hallway door. In case he made any long-distance calls. He might remember. Barnaby, you got any friends at the phone company? Barnaby suddenly paused, reaching into his pocket for a small magnifying glass. Hold it. He leaned down close to the wallpaper beside the hall doorway. Deeply pressed into the soft paper were faint, hand-scrawled impressions left by a heavy ballpoint pen. Uh-huh, Barnaby murmured, tracing the indentations carefully. Whoever wrote this was pretty interested in that last number there. You recognize the handwriting? Richie leaned over to look. Yeah, it's Tony's. Thank you, Richie, Barnaby said gently, placing a hand on the young man's shoulder. You've been a big help. JR looked down at Richie with a sudden shift in his demeanor, the anger in his heart softening into shared grief.
Rich.
Listen, man, I'm really sorry about your brother. Really. I know how you feel. Richie gave a small, quiet nod of appreciation. JR turned to Barnaby as they stepped out into the hallway. Well, Barnaby, you better see what we got here. Barnaby pulled out a notepad where he had carefully shaded over the paper impressions. He looked up the phone number at a nearby payphone, dialing his secretary. Oh, hello, Barnaby said into the phone. What did you say this was? He listened closely, his brow furrowing. Thank you very much. He hung up the phone and turned to JR, Martinson Building Supply Company. JR looked puzzled. Does that mean anything? Martinson Company has a big office building out in the Topanga area near where Tony was killed, Barnaby explained as they walked toward his car. They do big business in explosives for construction jobs. Chapter 12. Unmasking the Past. An hour later, Barnaby and JR stood inside the sleek, wooden-paneled reception lobby of the Martinson Building Supply Company. An older receptionist was looking carefully at the black and white police photograph of Walter Cahill that Barnaby had placed on her desk. "Well, I can't be sure," the woman said, squinting through her glasses at the 6-year-old mugshot. Underneath all that hair, it could be any one of 3 or 4 of the men working here. And no one's named Cahill. JR leaned forward eagerly. "Which 3 or 4? It's very important. Please." "Well," she hesitated, looking over the paper again, "it looks quite a bit like our Mr. Thompson. But then it could just as easily be Mr. Talbot or Mr. Brenner. I'm sorry, I can't be more definite." "That's perfectly all right," Barnaby assured her warmly, with a reassuring smile. "We're much obliged. You've been a big help. Maybe your personnel department could narrow it down," JR suggested sharply. "They're right through that door, second door on the left," she pointed out kindly. "Thank you," Barnaby said, guiding JR down the hallway. As soon as they turned the corner, Thomas Brenner stepped out from a nearby executive office, holding a folder. He walked over to the receptionist's desk, his face calm, though his eyes were sharp and guarded. "What were those 2 after?" Brenner asked casually. "They're doing some kind of investigation," the receptionist explained. "They showed me an old police photo and asked if it looked like anyone who works in the office." Brenner's heart hammered against his ribs, but his voice remained smooth as silk. "Did it? Well, like I said, with a lot of imagination," she chuckled faintly. "It could have been Jim Thompson or Mr. Talbot, or even you, Mr. Brenner." Brenner let out a light, charming laugh. "Oh, even me. Maybe my lurid past is catching up with me."
"Oh, yes.
I'm sure," she smiled back. Brenner walked quickly back into his private office, locking the door behind him. He reached for his inter-office intercom, his hands trembling slightly. "Carol, this is Mr. Brenner," he said into the machine, keeping his tone measured. "Look, I'm afraid you're going to have to cancel my appointments today. Something came up unexpectedly." "No, not tomorrow. I may be out of town for several days."
"Yeah."
"Thank you." Chapter 13. The Confrontation at the Estate. Later that afternoon, Barnaby and JR stood in the grand, high-ceilinged living room of the Brenner residence in an upscale residential district. Carol Brenner stood near the fireplace, her arms crossed, looking at the 2 investigators with a mix of anxiety and indignation. "No, I told you," Carol said firmly, her voice trembling slightly. "Tom came here from Miami. He's not from the Chicago area at all. Really, I wish you discussed this with him." "Yes, we tried to do that at his office," Barnaby said gently, "but his secretary said that he was out of town." "Well, I don't understand that at all," Carol frowned, shifting uncomfortably. Barnaby pulled the yellowed police flyer from his pocket and held it out to her. "Do you mind looking at this picture?" Carol hesitated, then took the paper. "I suppose so, if it will convince you that Tom is not the man you're looking for." "This man is a criminal," JR added sternly. "That's right." Barnaby looked directly into her eyes, his tone infinitely compassionate yet unyielding. "Could the man in that photo be your husband? Mrs. Brenner, what do you think? Is that Thomas Brenner?" Carol stared at the faded mugshot. For a fleeting second, a flicker of terrifying recognition washed across her face, but she instantly smoothed her expression into cold defiance. "No, I've never seen him before," she lied flatly. "Are you sure of that?" Barnaby pressed gently. "Yes, I'm sure," Carol snapped, handing the paper back with shaking fingers. "And I resent all of this very much. Will you please leave? Both of you, please." "Yes, of course," Barnaby said respectfully, taking his hat. "Sorry to have troubled you, ma'am." Chapter 14. The Rendezvous at the Marina. As soon as Barnaby's car pulled away from the driveway, the phone in the entry hall chimed. Carol rushed over and snatched the receiver. "Hello." "It's me, Laws." Brenner's tense voice spoke over the line. "Tom?" Carol gasped, her composure instantly shattering. "What's the matter? You sound upset. There were 2 men here just now. They showed me a police photograph. It was you in the photograph, wasn't it?" Brenner took a harsh breath on his end. "The 2 men. What did you tell them?" I told them they must have you confused with someone else. Carol sobbed quietly into the phone.
Elite.
Brenner let out a long sigh of relief.
Good.
Laws, meet me at the Spindrift, at the marina. Just meet me. I'll explain everything. At the Spindrift. All right, Tom, she whispered, hanging up the receiver. Half an hour later, the sun was setting over the quiet harbor, casting deep golden hues across the water where luxury yachts rocked gently against the docks. Carol walked along the wooden pier, finding Tom standing near the end of the walkway, staring out at the open sea. She walked up beside him, her heart breaking. You're right, of course. I'm not going to lie to you. It was me in the police photo, the way the man I used to be. Tom turned to face her, his eyes filled with a terrifying, desperate sincerity. Then you do have a record, Carol whispered. And you're wanted now. Yeah, Tom admitted softly, taking her hands in his. I've got a past. And one I'm not proud of, believe me. But it has nothing to do with the way I used to be. It's the way I am now. I've changed since then, Laws. Thanks to you, I'm a different man now. I want to believe you, Carol wept, looking up into his face. I know this must be such a shock for you. I lived with you for 5 years. I thought I knew you better than I know myself. I love you, Laws, Tom said passionately, pulling her close. That hasn't changed. If you never found out about my past, it wouldn't have made any difference, would it? Carol pressed her face against his chest. No, I guess it wouldn't. Laws, what we were talking about before, a different kind of life, away from all the pressures, Tom whispered in her ear, his mind already calculating an escape route. I want that now for both of us. If you still want me. Carol pulled back slightly, looking at him with fear. Whatever you did before, I love you now. Laws, this business of my past. If it should be catching up with me now while Santa Barbara isn't far enough, we might have to go farther, a lot farther, and not look back, Tom urged. Carol gasped softly. You mean leave my family, all our friends? It's possible that it might come to that, Tom said intensely. Could you do it? I don't know, Carol stammered, overwhelmed. If we have to. Tom watched her closely, realizing she was too fragile to handle a sudden flight across the border. A dark resolve settled over his face. No, forget about it, Tom said smoothly, kissing her forehead. There's another way. I'll handle this, so we won't have to worry about that anymore. Chapter 15. Closing the net. Back at the agency office, Barnaby sat at his desk reviewing background documents provided by local law enforcement contacts, while Betty worked at her typewriter. Now, those 3 names that you got from the receptionist at Martinson's Building Supply, Barnaby was saying as JR walked into the room, the 2 first, Thompson and Talbot, check out all the way down the line. They are who they say they are, and they came from where they say they did. Barnaby picked up a fresh sheet of paper. That leaves Thomas Brenner, the owner's son-in-law. The story on him is he came from the Miami area about 5 years ago, used the money that he got from a sale of a demolition business, and bought into Martinson's Supply. JR scoffed loudly, leaning against the desk. Baloney. He used the money from the jewel heist for that. That's very possible, Barnaby agreed calmly. Because according to that nice southern gentleman down at the Dade County Hall of Records, there's nothing to show that Thomas Brenner ever owned or sold such a business in Miami. I think Thomas Brenner's a phony. Brenner is Walter Cahill, all right, JR declared, slamming his fist onto the wooden surface. There cannot be any more doubt about that. Seems to fit all right, Barnaby noted thoughtfully, especially when you delve into Cahill's record. Find out that he was once convicted for safe blowing. That ties in with the manner in which Tony Ritter was killed. All we have to do is find him. Barnaby turned to Betty. Betty. Betty set down her telephone headset, shaking her head. No answer at the Brenner household. Well, it hardly seems likely that he'd be sitting around the phone waiting to hear from us, Barnaby said, rising from his chair. I think I'll go back to the Martinson office and see if Mr. Martinson knows where to locate his son-in-law. Want to come along, Jedediah? JR shook his head stubbornly. For what? Martinson's just going to cover for him like Cahill's wife did. Yeah, but it's worth a try, Barnaby urged softly. Sure you don't want to come along? No, you go ahead, JR said, turning toward the window. I'll see you later, Jedediah. Barnaby looked at the young man for a second, sensing the quiet, dangerous tide of vengeance rising inside him, but said nothing more as he pulled on his coat and left the office. Chapter 16. The Reckless Path. The moment Barnaby's car left the parking area, JR stepped over to Betty's desk, lifting the telephone receiver and dialing the Brenner residential line again. After several rings, a quiet, tearful voice answered. Hello. Mrs. Brenner? JR spoke quickly, lowering his voice to sound authoritative. Mrs. Brenner, this is JR Jones. Listen, it's very important that I talk with your husband. Is he at home right now? Well, no, he isn't, Carol replied hesitantly over the line. He said he was driving up to Santa Barbara this morning. He had some property to look at. JR's eyes lit up with intense focus. I see. Where exactly in Santa Barbara? Do you know? In the Montecito area, I think, on Hillview Drive, she offered unsuspectingly. Okay, thank you, JR said rapidly. That's all I need to know. He slammed the receiver down, turned toward Barnaby's desk, and reached into the bottom drawer, pulling out Barnaby's spare snub-nosed revolver. Betty gasped, standing up from her desk in alarm. Is this where he is? What are you doing? JR, that's Barnaby's. JR slipped the weapon into his jacket pocket, his jaw set in stone. Don't worry. I'll take good care of it. JR, you don't have a license to carry a gun, Betty pleaded, stepping into his path. JR looked at her with eyes full of unbearable pain and fiery determination. I got a father on a slab in the morgue. It's all the license I need. JR, please. Betty cried. No, you're going to stop and pick up Barnaby, aren't you? Betty, it has nothing to do with Barnaby anymore, JR said coldly, stepping around her toward the door. Just Cahill and me. JR, please don't go by yourself. Betty shouted after him, but the door slammed shut as JR hurried down the stairs. Chapter 17. The Stand at Montecito. At the Martinson Building Supply Company, Barnaby was stepping out of the executive office suite when the receptionist called out to him. Oh, Mr. Jones, I've been looking for you. Barnaby stopped, turning back. Yes. Your office phoned and said it was urgent that you call in right away, she said, gesturing toward her desk phone. You can use this phone if you like. Oh, thank you very much, Barnaby said, stepping quickly to the desk and dialing. Back at the office, Betty snatched up the ringing phone instantly. Barnaby Jones' office. Betty, you were looking for me? Barnaby's voice came through. Yes, it's JR. Betty blurted out frantically. He's on his way to Santa Barbara, hot on Cahill's trail. Barnaby, he took your spare gun. There was nothing I could do about it. Barnaby's face hardened into absolute focus. We're in Santa Barbara? Montecito area. Hillview Drive. I'm on my way, Barnaby said, hanging up the receiver and sprinting for his car. An hour later, high in the quiet, secluded hills of Montecito, a solitary estate stood surrounded by dense trees and unfinished construction framework. JR's car pulled up to the curb. He stepped out, pulling Barnaby's snub-nosed revolver from his jacket pocket, his heart hammering against his ribs. He walked cautiously up the gravel driveway, his gun raised. Brenner, you in there? JR yelled into the quiet forest air. I want to talk to you. Suddenly, a shadow stepped out from behind a wooden pillar behind him. Walter Cahill stood holding a heavy pistol, aimed directly at JR's back. So turn around and talk, Cahill commanded softly. JR froze, slowly turning around, his gun shaking in his hand. Cahill looked around the empty driveway with cold amusement. Where's the other man? I thought the two of you would come together. I was having a little talk with your father-in-law. JR spat out angrily, trying to keep his voice steady. I've got a feeling you're in for some major life changes, Brenner. Or Cahill, if you live, that is. Cahill smiled chillingly, taking a step closer. Pretty mouthy for somebody at the wrong end of a gun. Lean up against that wall. Go on, move. And spread out. JR slowly lowered his hands, backing toward the wooden frame of the house, realizing with a cold shock that he was completely outmatched. Cahill stepped forward, raising his weapon to strike. Cahill, A thunderous, authoritative voice boomed across the driveway. Cahill spun around in surprise. Barnaby Jones stood at the edge of the gravel drive, his own service weapon leveled with absolute, unwavering precision at Cahill's chest. "I hope for your sake that boy's all right," Barnaby said, his voice cold and steady as bedrock. "You've done enough to hurt the Jones family already." Cahill hesitated for a fraction of a second, evaluating his chances, but reading the sheer, unyielding expertise in the old investigator's eyes, he slowly dropped his weapon onto the gravel and raised his hands into the air. Barnaby kept his gun trained on Cahill while stepping forward. "You all right, JR?" JR let out a long, shuddering breath, lowering his head in shame and relief.
"Yeah, I'm okay."
"I guess." Epilogue: A New Dawn. The morning sun shone brightly through the glass windows of the airport diner 2 days later. Outside, jetliners roared across the runway, taking off into the clear blue California sky. Inside a cozy booth, Barnaby, Betty, and JR sat around a table filled with breakfast plates and hot coffee. JR was happily digging into a large stack of pancakes, his appetite fully restored. "I don't know, Barnaby." Betty laughed lightly, looking over at the older investigator. "What do you think? Think he's found his appetite yet?" Barnaby smiled warmly, sipping his coffee. "You probably have time for a little dessert before your plane leaves." "Sure do," JR grinned, wiping his mouth with a napkin. "Anyway, there's always another plane, right?" He looked across the table at Barnaby, his expression turning sincere and humble. "By the way, I want to thank you for saving my neck." "Yeah, you did cut it a little fine for comfort," Barnaby noted with gentle humor. "I'm glad I got there in time." "Well, you were right about taking it nice and slow and easy," JR admitted, looking down at his plate. "Guess I kind of went in there a little too eager. Almost got myself killed." "Well, who would have known that Cahill qualified for a black belt in karate?" Barnaby chuckled softly. "I may have had trouble with him myself." "Well, I certainly found out." JR laughed, then paused, looking out the window at the sunny landscape of Southern California. "Now, I'll tell you something. I'm really beginning to like it out here. I don't know. I think I might want to stick around a while." Betty's face lit up with excitement. "That's a great idea. What about it, Barnaby? We can always use some extra help, can't we?" Barnaby looked over his coffee cup at the young man, his eyes twinkling with quiet affection. "Don't you have to go back to Illinois and study for the bar?" "Well, I can always start studying for the California bar," JR reasoned quickly, leaning forward with enthusiasm. "It can't be any tougher for a young lawyer out here than it is back home. Now, if you could just pay me enough money to live on." Betty chuckled, nudging Barnaby's arm gently. "Well, now, how can you say no? I mean, after all, he is kin." Barnaby leaned back in his booth, stroking his chin thoughtfully, a warm smile spreading across his face. "Haven't said no yet. Got to think about this." He looked JR straight in the eye, his tone filling with wise, fatherly warmth. "You know, kin or no kin, you would have to earn every dollar of your wages. And occasionally take some advice from somebody older and more experienced. Because, you do tend to be muley now and then." JR grinned broadly, raising his glass of juice. "Well, that trait kind of runs in the family." Barnaby raised an eyebrow playfully. "What did you say?" "Nothing." JR chuckled happily. "You got yourself a deal." Barnaby raised his coffee cup to meet JR's juice glass and Betty's mug in the center of the table. To the three of us?" "To the three of us," they echoed together, as a bright new chapter opened under the golden California sun.